Alright. So after VTW Mania, the next event that we really seen uploaded that VTW was part of was King of the Yard, presented by BEW. In the first round, we saw you, Dustin, facing Mr. Ustalo.
Oh, Usti.
What was your opinions on that first round match?
For him never been in the ring, it went really better than I thought. I was really nervous about that, but when he went up to that top rope and he just jumped and flipped, he was going to hit with a leg drop, and I just said, "Heck no, siree." And it went really good. I'm really proud of that match. And a little trivia here for that also. That was supposed to be Big Time Mike.
Oh, really?
Okay.
It was supposed to be me and Mike in the first round.
That would have been interesting to see.
Yes, it would have.
It would have been. I'm really, really sad he couldn't make it, but to Uso's credit, he stepped up and it kind of added on to the whole UWE PTW war we had going on at the time. And I'm really proud of that match. It was really good for what it's supposed to be.
Right. I would say it was a very good match. I wouldn't say it was the best match of all the matches in the first round, in my opinion, but it was still a very good match and one of the best performances I think I've seen out of Ustalo, to be honest with you.
And I would agree.
And then from there, in the second round, you would go on to face Charlie Tiger, a guy who I'm personally not that familiar with. I've seen a little bit of his work in NGW.
I was the same way.
But he took you to the limit at some points during that match, I would say.
Yeah, he's a very good competitor. He hits really hard, and they give the guy credit. He's really tough. I took everything he gave me, and he took everything that I gave him. He was a really, really tough opponent. The match was really good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
For two guys that never really known each other, and for two guys that never been in the ring together, I felt we flew pretty good, and I was really sore after that match, to be completely honest with you.
I can see that. Yeah, I would say that actually was one of my favorite matches of that second round. Him and Ellis Taylor were the two guys from NGW. I'm not too familiar with either one of them. Seen a little bit more of Ellis because he's come to VTW a couple times.
Right, and them two are really in my opinion, the people that drove that company.
Right.
And now they moved on to I think they're both in the Indies at the same place, and they're doing good. And I think Ellis has a sponsor with Collar and Elbow.
I believe he does.
Yeah, I believe so too.
I hope everything goes good for them, and I hope it keeps on building. I mean, they're both really, really good, and they both got a bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, I would say I honestly was pleasantly surprised by how good those two guys were in both of their first and second round matches, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Both of them guys are really good. They just really didn't have a platform to show it. And once they get a platform where it fits with them, and it really can show how good both of them are, whether it's Indy or Backyard, them two guys are going to be really known one day.
I believe it. They were the only two that actually, if I remember correctly, were the only two that got submission victories in the first round as well.
Right. No, I got one, shockingly enough.
Right. I know Zach got a submission victory here in the third round, but we haven't seen that many submission victories overall in the King of the Air tournament, so it's definitely something that stood out.
Well, a little tip in VTW, you're about to see a big change from a certain guy on this podcast. So you might be seeing more tap outs here soon.
I love me a submission victory.
Right? Me too. It's one thing to pin an opponent for a 3 count, but it's another to make them tap out or say I quit. Right?
Hey, I'm just making sure what's the word I'm looking for here? I know a way to win every battle.
There you go. That's a fair point. Now, after you got past Charlie Tiger in that match, you had one of the best matches of the third round. I would say all 4 were off the charts pretty much, but you and Cameron Jackson.
Yep.
That match was amazing. We actually seen at one point Cam kicked out of the lung blower, and you kicked out of the black toe splash, which we don't see either one of those two things happen very often.
It was again. I'm like all three of my matches. I have never worked with any one of them guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought that was the first time that you and Cam had actually been in a match or close to it.
It was the first time. Cam got the better hand on me this time, but it won't happen again. Now I know what he is and what he's all about, and everyone looks at him as a comedy kind of guy. But to his credit, what I've learned from being in the ring with him, he'll use that comedy to kind of distract you.
Right.
But there will be no distractions next time we set in the ring. I promise you that.
Unless he hits you with a fish.
If he hits me with that fish, I will slap him straight in the mouth.
I can see that. I will say this though, can't take anything away from you either in that match because it did take a Afro Shock off the top rope to put you away to win that match for Cam. So
I would definitely say, and I think Cam would agree. I will be the toughest guy that he stepped the ring with that the beat in that King of the Yard. Even if he goes on and loses the next round, I promise you that the next round, if he loses, it will be because of what I did to him and how much effect he still has from that match.
Right, and his next opponent doesn't get any easier because he is facing Yankee the Difference Maker in the semifinals.
It's going to be really tough. I hope that stage is all right, though.
Right? And speaking of the semifinals, we also know the other match will be Zach Daniels from VTW facing off with AK-47. All four guys that are left in this tournament, in my opinion, have looked incredible throughout the entire tournament. Not to take anything away from the other 30 guys that were part of it, or 28 guys rather. But
and if you're asking me, like who's gonna win it,
yeah, that's where I was heading.
I'm going to lean towards Zach because I know what Zach can do. I've trained with Zach. I've shown him a lot of stuff that I know, and the guy is just incredible at what he does. And I don't see this a way that the King of the Yard is going to go, and you can't. The best is Zach Daniels, and you can't have a tournament and not have the best win. And Zach's going to show that he is the best, and that 40 hard believes that. Now, AK-47 is a hell of a competitor, and in fact, me and him I drove AK up. He met me here, and we went together. I know I bonded with AK on this ride, and AK's gonna give him a hell of a challenge. And AK's good, but I think he's been away from the game a little bit too long. Where Zach's been in it, and I don't see this a way that Zach's not gonna be able to pull this off.
Very interesting. You got an opinion as to whether you think Cam's gonna take the win, or do you think Yankee's gonna meet Zach in the finals, and we're gonna have a rematch from Best in the Yard?
I don't know. To me, I feel like there's something's going to happen there with Zach and Yankee because I still feel like that's not settled.
Oh, I'd agree with that. Either way.
I feel like Cam's going to win. I don't know how, but some way, somehow, Cam's going to be able to pull it off.
All right, so you see a Cameron Jackson, Zach Daniels finals with Zach going over as the King of the Yard, Mr. Best in. Wow, that would be quite the feat. So.
I mean, the best is going to win, and to me, Zach's the best.
That's a fair point.
I thought it would end up being me and Zach anyway, but Cam got me, but he won't get me again.
Gotcha. That'd be incredible for Zach to put Mr. Best in the Yard and Mr. King of the Yard pretty much in the same boat there.
Exactly, and
Mr. Triple Threat.
Oh yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be an interesting show.
Yep, that's for sure. So, is there any one person in the King of the Yard tournament that we may not have spoke of that you were kind of impressed by or taken surprised by that you hadn't seen much of?
Uh, to be completely honest with you, I would have to go with AK-47.
Okay.
And I know that's kind of a weird way to go, but I, for one, never watched KBW, and I really had no clue. Everyone talked about big hype on him, and I was like, "There's no way this guy's gonna be able to live up to it." And so far, he has, and I've honestly been kind of shocked at it.
All right.
So I would say AK.
Okay. That's a fair enough point. I know one thing that you can't take away from him, AK did do some independent wrestling as well, briefly there,
Right.
after KBW ended. So I have a feeling that may have helped him a little bit compared to some other people in being in this tournament. But
Right, and I'm sure it did have a lot of effect on him.
right, all right. Now after that, pretty much puts some final touches on King of the Yards for now. We will
Uh,
wait and see what the semifinals and finals bring whenever BW gets that uploaded. It's supposed to be
right.
sometime next week, I believe, but we'll see if that happens. Um, After that event, we actually want to touch briefly on the other event that we've seen BTW do for a crossover event, which was Crossover Crisis up in New York.
Mhm.
I heard from a lot of guys in BTW it's a sore topic to bring up, but let's talk about the main
Oh
event,
yes.
that match that you were a part of against Everett Creed. Originally, we know that was supposed to be Creed and Jason Walker.
Right.
Do you like to comment at all on how things came about to end up with you and Creed instead of Jason Walker being in that spot?
Yes, I will. Let me plug in this charger. This phone don't die, and I sure will.
Yep. So I know we've heard Jason Walker's side of the story and we've heard Everett Creed's, but for some
Okay,
reason we
so
haven't heard yours.
this is my side of the story, and I did this. And I kind of kept quiet because I don't want to get in the middle of it,
Right?
but obviously I am,
Obviously.
whether I whether I wanted to be or not.
Yep.
So this is what my side of all that happened. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So when Crossover Cross got announced, supposedly at first it was supposed to be me versus Nick Somas, and I was completely happy with that because Nick knew me and him would flow really good together.
Mm-hmm.
So when that match was supposed to take place, I went up to New York about 2 or 3 months beforehand to kind of get a feel of the beat of the UWE and kind of just see how it is because we
Right.
filmed Customer Practice and King of the Yard the same week. So when we did it, I went up there about two. Me and Sack and his girlfriend went up there, and we kind of just got used to UWE, and because I want to go up there and make sure these shows are gonna be good. Because this is kind of the first time I've been in the headlining type scenario.
Right.
And so when I went up there and I got going, and Everett came to me, he's like, "Hey, so the way this thing was built, because I attacked Everett at
Yep.
reunion.
Right.
So he was like, I think it would make sense for this UWE for 50W war to have me and you in a match." So I said, yeah, well, I mean, we can do that as long as Nick has like an opponent and whatnot. But then it turned out that Nick couldn't make it. So that kind of worked out. But I was all for doing a triple threat.
Ooh.
But Everett told me it was do me versus you, and we can figure out what we can do with Jason. Well, apparently that's when Jason got mad because that wasn't what he signed up for, and I completely understand that. And that's kind of my side of the story. So whatever happened with them and not getting along, I don't know, but that's for them to know, not me. I
Right.
kind of just kept my head down and just did my thing and knew what I had to do. And
Right.
I think that's also one reason why the event didn't exactly live up to expectations, because there was really like multiple things going on at once. When you do these kind of events, there's got to be one line going, and everyone's got to be going at that same line. Well, you kind of had everyone going off in their own directions because no one really knew what was happening. Because the main event, supposed to be, what caps it off. Everything's building up to that main event.
Right.
And when at first it's supposed to be one big guy versus Everett, who's another big big name, it's kind of hard to all of a sudden just change it and throw me in it. And then you got one guy really mad about it, Everett, who kind of Everett's he's got a really big heart,
Right.
and he doesn't mean no wrong by anybody. It's just sometimes what he thinks, and he gets thinking so much, and he changes things, and he doesn't mean to hurt anyone or upset anybody. It just kind of happens.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of where I was at, and I text Jason and I text told him, hey, are you sure you find me doing this long? And he said, yeah, go right on ahead. He didn't have no issue with me. So as long as he had no issue with me doing it, I was fine doing it. I
Right.
didn't. I just didn't want someone else to get upset about it when they were told they're going to have to spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I know we kind of mentioned it a little bit when Crossover Crisis was first announced. It was something I was looking forward to seeing. Um, whether it was you or Jason Walker facing Everett Creed, originally was supposed to be Jason, but then it just snowballed pretty much, in my opinion, for how long it took for that to actually get aired. So,
But that foot, it would have been completely fine if it would have been aired like when it was supposed to be aired. But
right,
they took so long getting it up that VTW for us, we were like, screw it, we're tired of waiting on these guys.
Yeah.
right,
So we didn't want to hurt our fans by not giving them the product. So we kept on going, hoping that they would get it up soon, and they never did. So now that it's finally up and everyone sees how outdated it is,
hmm,
it's kind of like, man, uh, a little late now.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Uh, it's, the way I felt about it was kind of pointless to, in a way. I won't say completely pointless because there were some decent matches on the show, but kind of pointless to upload it after waiting so long, in a way. Um,
Right, and I mean, so much changed
yeah,
after that event.
I
And
mean,
I mean, we waited for the post and changes, but and we did our best with it. But there's a certain point in time where you got to be like, well, either they're going to post it or we're going to move on. And sorry, guys. So and
right,
that's what we did. I mean, we can't stall our stuff and put a hook on our stuff that helped them. You know what I mean?
yep, I completely
We
Yep.
understand
waited.
that.
We did our part. We drove up there. That's a 14-hour car ride. So we did our part, and they just failed to execute theirs. And I would say even UWE guys would agree with me, and I would say even Evan agrees with me that it just took too long to get up, and that's really what hurt it.
Yep, that's pretty much what it comes down to, my opinion on that. But moving along from Crossover Crisis, let's go into the biggest event of the summer for backyard wrestling and BTW, pretty much. Best in the Yard 3. Now, there's a lot of things we could cover from Best in the Yard 3, but the first thing I want to go over is your match that you had against Dirty DeChico.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What a brutal match. Honestly, I did not see Dirty getting the upper hand on you as much as he did, especially in the beginning parts of that match, I was shocked, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
It was a very good match, and you guys both did very well with that match, in my opinion. The ending, man, you won the match, but Dirty looked like the winner coming out of it.
Right. And see, I expected that to kind of happen because in a lot of my matches, I'm kind of the guy that takes a lot of control.
Right.
And I knew that I want to do something different, best in the yard. I
Mm-hmm.
want to do something because I can tackle with anybody. I've wrestled Drew 100 times, so I know I can compete with the promo kind of guys.
Right.
But I'd never really been in a ring with a brawler.
Yep.
And I knew that Dirty would be the perfect fit for me. And
Yeah.
man, oh man, was it everything I wanted and more.
Well, I bet.
Uh, I I saw some comments when it got when it was on the stream, and I know that it's to some people it kind of disappointed. I don't really know why it disappointed, but I mean I'll take the criticism because I mean it takes someone to not be happy to actually say it for us to get better. A
Right.
lot of people take offense to it,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, I feel like almost like the community's too nice to where sometimes the fans won't say what they're really thinking. They'll just go with it, say, "Hey, that was good," and in the back of their house, like, "Man, this sucks." So like that's one thing I want more like really good criticism, the way like it takes a lot to please the guy. You know what I mean?
Right. And no, it was definitely a different side to seeing you getting in there with a brawler and Dirty. Um, just the brutalness that he brought to the table compared to anybody else you've been in the ring with.
Oh yeah, and I'm I'm still upset myself for not being able to get a better spot on the card.
Yeah.
But after what happened last year, me not showing up, I understand why. But trust me, next time you'll be my name will be up there with the main event guys, and I promise you, I don't care who's watching, the next match there will not disappoint anybody. I don't care who it's against. It will not disappoint.
Fair enough. It's obviously about a year away, a little less than, but it'll be interesting to see who you end up in the ring with at Best in the Yard for.
It will
Wolf
be.
Stallone.
I still have no clue.
Right?
Wolf Stallone.
No.
Come on, man.
No,
He's got to get his rematch.
it's a crossover event. It's got to be the crossover. Oh, no.
I guess that makes sense. Well, he's
If it's
underground development, so it's okay.
yeah. But
That's
yeah,
good.
be interesting to see who ends up being the one that you face next year anyway, either way. So
Yeah, and I'll cross that path when it gets a little bit closer on, but
right.
right now it's way too early.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Let's go over a couple other matches from that card. I will say there was one match I wasn't the biggest fan of at the show, and I know Drew and some other people have put it over. I wasn't that huge of a fan. I'm not that huge of a fan of comedy matches. So if you can take from that what match I'm referring to, it would
Well, me
be
and you in the same boat then, because I'm not a big fan of comedy matches either.
yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of Kevin Shaw and Victor Van Pelt's match. So um, I think I mentioned this in Jamal's podcast that I did. Victor Van Pelt to me was the one that got over pretty much and got the most offense in over Kevin. But
Yeah.
it was hilarious seeing Buford and Kevin's mom, but still, but
Beautiful woman.
Sure. But yeah, it just didn't click with me compared to most of the other matches on Best in the Yard. Honestly, I would rather not seen it on Best in the Yard, to be honest with you. I would rather seen it at some other event. But that's just my opinion.
I agree in a way, but at the same time, I'm glad them two guys got to be on Best in the Yard because they both deserve it.
Yeah, I agree. They
when it
both
comes
deserve either.
When it comes to comedy matches, I'm the same way as you are. I'm not really a big fan of it, but at the same time, it's a different element,
Yeah.
and that's what them two guys wanted to do, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there also I know that loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a reaction one way or the other. And really, whether they hate it or they love it, if you get a reaction, you get a reaction.
True. I would have to 100% agree with that one.
Because on my match, for example, I've never been in a ring and it get that loud.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a time in my match where people were literally chanting "Let's go Dirty, Let's go Dustin" so loud, I I could not hear,
Right.
and it was it was probably one of the loudest that I think it was the loudest thing of that show. Honestly, I think it even out like there wise, it got louder there than it did it Cage and Cam.
Yeah.
It was.
I was gonna
I don't know
say.
how. I don't know how we did it. I don't know how, but man, it was awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna mention. We're gonna get into the Cage Cameron Jackson match here in a second, but since we're a little segue here, I honestly thought the crowd could have been a little more into that match between Cage and Cam. They didn't. They weren't as vocal
Right.
as what I thought they would have been, honestly.
Right, and I agree. And sadly enough, I was on my way up there when they filmed that match, so I wasn't there yet.
Gotcha.
But I went back and I watched it, and I'm the same. I'm the same boat as you was.
Yeah, they.
I think I think everyone was so exhausted at that point,
Yeah,
and everyone was into their match that that's one reason it happened. But the live stream went nuts on it, so they got their reaction, no doubt.
yeah. I was gonna say, I'm sure they got plenty of reactions. I know I've seen on social media a lot of reactions about that match. A great match it was. The only thing I didn't care for was the finish, as I'm sure other people have mentioned too. But I understand completely why they went with the finish the way they did. Now more than I
Right.
thought about it.
I'm the same way. Like I don't agree with it because to me, in that kind of scenario, I think there needs to be a clean winner in pretty much every match.
Right.
But that's their call, not mine. So it worked, and that's all that matters.
I mean, Cam did mention on the BYW fix that they're somewhere down the line may come a rematch between the two as well. So we'll see if that happens or not. But
Well, it might, but I'm gonna be honest here. Can I put my boat? If
yeah.
Cage wants a match and another fight, he always got to do is look right here.
Ooh, could you imagine that?
Oh man, goosebumps.
I would agree. I could see Dustin Reagan and Cage. That'd be a main event anywhere, in my opinion.
Oh man, that'd be a clinic.
Oh yeah,
He wants to do a high flying. He's gonna have a tough time doing it when he's getting stretched. That's all I gotta say.
that's true. All right. So there's let's see, two more matches I want to touch on from Best in the Yard real quick here. The first one, I gotta bring up Big Time Mike and Rick Rios. Ooh, that 3 stages of hell match those two had. What can you say about that match? It made me. I was speechless. I'd have to say after seeing that match.
I
Just
think everybody was
right.
because like at the show, like everyone was so quiet,
Oh yeah.
but everyone was watching. It was kind of like you didn't need no one to say anything type thing. That like everyone kind of knew what was going to happen.
Right.
So you were like, "Oh no, please don't be it."
Right.
it was a very weird vibe when that match took place. And I mean, they did a hell of a match.
Oh yeah.
It was just the scenarios. It it was very sad, and
Right.
it was very like what the hell am I watching type thing. Like I don't know where to go from here.
Right.
Right.
In my opinion, Rick was the right guy to put in that position to retire Mike. There's not really anybody else I could have seen doing that. Retired, ended Mike's career after the match they had at WrestleCon last year. which was one of the first matches I seen of Rick's, and made me a fan of Rick Rios in the UWE, kind of, sort of, because he was in there. He was the perfect fit to be in that spot to retire Mike, in my opinion.
I'd agree.
Yep.
Not that I wanted to see it happen, because I'm a huge big time Mike fan, especially when he was the first backyard wrestler that followed me on Twitter, but that's besides the point. But yeah. No, I was expecting the outcome, but still watching it, I didn't get the chance to watch it. Yeah, I did see the ending of that match during the live stream. It's just felt so surreal to see Mike down there and start apologizing to Cam and Drew, saying sorry as he knew he wasn't going to get back up for that 10 count. In my opinion.
Yeah, it was hell of a story.
Oh, yeah.
Hell of a story. And he had one hell of a run.
That he did.
So probably the saddest moment in backyard wrestling, in my opinion.
I think I'd have to agree. At this point, anyway. So we touched on a couple of the matches. We can't go away from Best in the Yard without mentioning the main event between Zach Daniels and Yankee, the difference maker. Those two guys had a tough act to follow, being on after Rick and Mike, but they delivered. They had a very good main event match.
They did too. I know a lot of people say one was at the main event, but to me, it fit being the main event.
Mm-hmm.
My long lost cousin Gatorades got the honor of calling that match, being the ref for that match, and I think it fit perfect being the main event with the story they had, and both guys are hell of competitors. The only reason why I can see where people are coming from is because in the backyard scene, Yankees still kind of new.
Yeah.
To where like everyone knew who Rick was, everyone knew who Cage and Cam was. So I think that's really the only reason why people say, why was that not the main event?
Right. I can understand.
But to me, the match was great. The story was great. It fit together. It had perfect sense of reason why it was the main event. So I got no complaints with it.
Yeah, me neither. I'm in the minority, I guess. I agree that it fit well as the main event. I thought from the beginning that it should have been the main event once they announced it as a main event. Not to take anything away from Cage and Cam, because that would have been the only other, or Mike and Rick, but Cage and Cam would have been the only other choice for a main event, in my opinion. But Zach and Yankee, I mean, you look at the last two Best in the Yards for Zach Daniels, how can you not give him the main event at Best in the Yard 3? The match he had.
And with that being, like, yeah, I know it was once in a lifetime dream match. It was Cage and Cam.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Zach how I know Zach. I don't know Yankee as good, but I know him enough to say this. They're not going to want to go be the main event and have a weak card to follow. They're going to want to be the main event with the toughest card possible, where they got to go out there and show why they should be the main event.
Yeah.
And even if they fall in their butt completely and they don't live up to being the main event compared to these other matches, I think they could sleep better at night knowing they did it and they tried with that good of a card than going out there and like following a basic show and them being the main event.
Right. Yeah.
Very excellent build up to the match also.
Yes, it was.
Like, they hyped the hell out of it.
I know some people didn't agree with the hashtag that Yankee was using to lead into it, but...
Oh, Yankee and his cuss words.
Right?
The obscenities.
But still, they did an excellent job of building towards the match and building during the match into the ending of the match. Just the way the match ended, too, felt like it just belonged there. It deserved to have that main event spot, in my opinion.
And I agree. I would agree.
So, yeah. Any other thoughts on Best in the Yard?
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to follow that next year.
Oh man.
Right. I would say, in my opinion, from watching the previous two and this year's, that this year's Best in the Yard 3 was the greatest Best in the Yard of the three shows, in my opinion. I would just say that because of the talent that was part of it. Just altogether, it was put together very well.
Right, and you're going to say that because you're sure that's his first Best in the Yard. Just saying.
Right.
I'm kidding, but yeah, it was. I don't know how we're going to follow that next year. And I don't know or see how anyone else is going to top that for next year. So it's going to be interesting.
It will be. It might happen. It might be bested next year, but only time will tell.
That's the goal every year.
That's the way it should be.
Hopefully this time we don't come out of the restroom.
Right?
I definitely thought that Best in the Yard topped the past Manias for sure. I thought that you guys put on just an absolutely phenomenal show.
Well, for me and all the other guys in Best in the Yard, thank you for saying that.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. So, after Best in the Yard, just a couple days ago, we seen VTW Super Vindication, where you defended the VTW World Championship against Drew Hood. Want to touch on that match there for a minute?
I know people watch it and they're like, why am I doing these things I was doing? I want to make this really, really clear. You get power bombed on wood.
Mm-hmm.
You fight the hardest challenge you've ever faced. Put your body through all that pain. I could barely bend down the next day.
Right.
And we filmed that match, and they wanted to do all this thing, and had me defend the title. Literally like a week after.
Oof.
To Drew's credit, he had a tough match with Novin.
That he did.
But he has been against them kind of people. He's face dirty, so his body's more used to that stuff.
Right.
I am not. I was hurt. I could not move. Every time I twist the wrong way, a sharp pain would go up and down my spine.
Right.
And I had to defend the title. The thing that means the most to me, the VTW World Heavyweight Championship. I'm going to do what I have to do to defend it, to win it. And that's what I did. See, now, since Best in the Yard, everyone's like, Drew's my hero. Drew's changed so much.
Mm-hmm.
I see through that. Drew is still the same Drew he's always been. Whether he's changed or what, and people are on his side now, the bottom line is he's a snake in the grass, and he's gonna do what he has to do to get hit where he wants to be. He is a master of reverse psychology, where he will make you think that he's all for you and that you will love him, but at the end of the day, he's going to do what he's always done, and he's going to make sure his name's on top.
Right.
So the whole change for Drew, I do not believe in. And there will be a rematch, Drew, and when I'm back and I'm 100%, and don't you think for 1 second that towel's not coming back where it belongs.
Fair enough. I honestly, from watching it, thought you guys put on a clinic. Some people didn't agree with the way you did things in that match, but I just see it as a champion was trying to do whatever it took to retain their championship.
I was a wounded animal.
Yep.
Just a 5.
Right.
Am I proud of the way I did things? No, not at all. But sometimes you gotta swallow your pride and do what you gotta do.
Right. I would agree with that. There are times when you have to do that. coming out of it, yes, Drew Hood is now the VTW World Champion, as we all know. Apparently, he'll be facing Zach Daniels at Quiet Riot. And is there anything that we can expect from seeing you at Quiet Riot, or are you sitting this out, or what's going on?
Not quite sure yet. I'm just biding my time. And whenever we decide to do this, I'll be there, trust me. Zach's credit, I saw what he said on that promo thing, and he thinks now he's the most successful story that's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting a little too cocky for his britches now. He thinks he's done all this stuff, so now he thinks he's all of that. So he's a good friend of mine. I like Zach, and I respect everything he's done. But if he wants to take that humble stuff out of him, I would not be 1 second shy of putting that humble back in him.
Fair enough. And that might be something worth seeing at some point. You two is definitely ringing this together.
At a point really, really soon, I feel.
Nice. And I really do hope to see a rematch between you and Drew. I don't know how everybody else felt, but I mentioned on Twitter, people that might have seen it, I felt it was possibly the match of the year so far in VTW, in my opinion.
That means a lot because VTW has that like every show.
Yeah,
there's at least one. Always.
That's true, but I watched every Vindication, every free preview or whatever you want to call it this year, and I still think that you guys had the best match when it comes to the story wise and everything else that was put into that match. It was very incredible.
Me and Drew fit so good because what he's strong in, I'm weak in, so he fits in that. What he's weak in, I'm strong at. So we just mix really good together.
And I think one thing that might have helped is this wasn't the first time that you two have faced each other, but it's the first time in a while that you two have been in the ring together. And
on one-on-one circumstances, yes, you're right.
Yeah. And you guys just matched together very well in that match, in my opinion. So.
Thank you for y'all's opinion on the match. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it, and I hope everyone else did as well.
Okay. Yeah, it was a pretty good episode of Super Vindication, in my opinion, altogether, but I just had to touch on that main event, obviously, with you being on here. So we now know that Cameron Jackson is officially a VTW member. What are your feelings on Cam coming into VTW?
The more the merrier. I mean, we got the most loaded roster of anyone, past or present, as we are loaded from the top to the bottom. And man, if y'all think VTW's been good, y'all don't even know what's coming.
Looking forward to it for sure.
Right, it's a fair enough point.
Everyone should be. It's about to get really, really good.
I know for me, I think a feud between you and Cam at some point would be pretty much must see. Just seeing that one match between you two and King of the Yard tells me that you guys could put on a great program.
When the time is right, you will definitely see me and CJE. Trust me.
Look forward to it.
When the time is right.
Very much forward to it. So we noticed, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was right after you won the VTW World Championship that you started with this Man of War and started using the paint? Or was it
was actually right before.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I think it was actually just before. What brought about the Man of War and the face paint?
Well, like I've said, I'm not one that's really high on talking.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of let my ring, what I do in there, speak for itself. So I kind of just got thinking all right, what's a good way for me to do this and be kind of unique? And I'm like, well, I think I'm one of the best pro wrestlers out there. So why don't I do this? So I started doing the face paint, and I did not get it from Finn Balor. Actually, I got it from Sting. Sting's actually one of the inspirations I got it from. But what I went for was the Man of War, and I thought, all right, so what's like a character I can kind of relate to that's about just brutal fighting? And I thought Kratos from God of War. So like when you see me paint my face up a lot, you'll see like a line coming down.
Yep.
That line is representing like the God of War Kratos, because after he defeated Ares in the story. Well, I'm not one to call myself a god. I'm
Right.
a I'm a big time Christian man, so I don't really call myself God. So I said, all right, I'll be the Man of War. That way, also it's different and it relates to it. So I went with that, and it kind of stuck. And it fit really good with how I wrestle and how I'm kind of really brutal. And I like to just punch you in the mouth.
Chop you in the
So,
chest.
yeah, the war chops to the chest always help out a lot.
Right.
But I I got the paint through that, and I kind of used that to symbolize like how I feel in the match, uh, what my opponent needs to look out for, and I use it as a symbol of kind of like fear, to kind of get the kind of head games into my opponent that way. Because if he stares over, he just sees another human. He sees plenty of humans, so how's that going to scare him?
Right.
If I come out here and I got this crazy, insane look on, he might look at me like, man, this dude is motivated. That way, now he's going to be kind of hesitant, and that little hesitation is all I need to hit someone with the lung blower and walk out. And it's worked pretty good, I would say.
Oh, I would agree. I know for me personally, when you started wearing it, I mentioned and I agreed to this day that it kind of sets you apart from everybody else. Um, we don't see that many guys use the paint anywheres in backyard wrestling. There's a couple companies that do it and people in them, but not many. And
And like a lot of guys will paint, but they'll use like that cheap paint.
mhm.
And I'm a guy that like I know for me to get comfortable and me to know I gotta spend money in my gear. So I bought them trunks and I got the belt, and I buy the most expensive is called acrylic paint, and it's actually pretty expensive compared to the cheap paints.
Yeah.
I probably spend $50 every time I paint my face.
Wow.
So it's quite a bit on the wallet, but if that's what I gotta do, that's what I gotta do. You
Yeah.
can't be scared to spend money on you.
Right. That shows the dedication, in my opinion.
I
Absolutely.
mean, how if I don't spend no money on myself, how can I expect you guys to, you know, investment like it, if you watching our stuff, to me that's kind of like the indies getting paid. So
Right.
how can I expect you to invest in me if I don't invest in myself?
It's a good point. Something that would be good for every backyard wrestler, in my opinion, to take to the heart, pretty much. There's some guys that do, a lot of guys in BTW, I would say, that seem to, but there are some guys out there that need to use that mantra a little bit more.
And I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear the origins of that. Anyways, I was just wanted to get that out there, see whereabouts it came from.
Yeah, and that's where it came from, brother.
All right. Now, went over Quiet Riot. I want to ask you about dream matches that you have against any backyard wrestlers that you haven't faced yet.
Okay, so like, what you want me to name 3 guys I want to wrestle?
Sure, go ahead and do 3.
I've never stepped in the ring with, right?
Right. Now, one-on-one anyway.
In order, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Cage, Chris Castle from ICW, Novin.
All right. Why those three specifically?
Well, me and Cage, because Cage is known for what he's done in the independent scene, and he's got this name on him that he's really good, and he is really good. But he is a really high flyer and flashy, and where I'm more of the low-cal, keep you on the ground and just stretch you to death.
Right.
Like, how many guys do you know of that's gotten this his awesome chance by literally stretching a guy for 15 minutes like I did at Phoenix?
Right. Not many. That's for sure.
You got an adjustment.
So I think me and Cage is two completely different dynamics that if you put the ring together could really do something special.
Okay.
Chris Castle is the same way. He's just a little bit less unknown, but I would say he's more of a complete wrestler as more than Cage is.
Okay.
Because Cage knows what he's good at and he sticks with it. Castle can do almost, maybe a little bit, not as good as Cage when it comes to high flying, but he's really damn good. But he can really technical wrestle too, by what I've seen. So
Gotcha.
I really want to get in the ring with him because he's also wears face paint, and I feel like we can really do something good. When it comes to Novin, I mean, it's the last emotion for the Man of War. Imagine the hype we could do for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that pretty much sums it up.
That match to me has the most money on it.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely be down for seeing that match at some point in time.
Oh yeah.
Whether that be in VTW or up in BEW, that would be.
And you never, little hint, you never know where I might show up.
Fair point. Because which wouldn't be too surprising. There's a lot of guys in backyard wrestling that travel more now than what we had seen previously with the crossover, not just the crossover events, but we've seen more of, not recently, but more of some of the VTW guys up in UWE, for instance, when Kevin Shaw was up there, and Zach's been up there. So it wouldn't be surprising to see you or anybody else at any other company for that matter. Whether it be a BEW or
we are a very close family that was very far away.
Right? And it's pretty much what it seems to be. Makes a lot of sense that you guys would be as close when you guys work together quite often. Maybe not as often as you would like, but...
Yeah, no, not that's what we like, but when we're together, it's always fun times.
Right. And of course, nowadays...
That's one reason why I'm more of a backyard guy than I am indies, because indies, you come in and everyone treats you like garbage because they want you to earn your spot in this, like, horse crap of whatever it is, because half the guys there have no talent and they are horrible, but they think they're the best just because they bought a pair of wrestling boots and they were trained by some local idiot. When I don't care what indie show you put on around here, VTW can compete, if not top and destroy half of the indie scenes you see around here, and I stand by that because we're a family and we all know what we gotta do. In the indies, you go to the shows and you're not a family. Not the bigger name like guys, because them guys are always close, kind of like us. But when it comes to like these other people and these other guys that think they're good because they've been doing this for 25 years on a show that they might get paid $10 on, but they want to be the big dogs around it, and it's no fun when everyone's a dick.
All right. Now, kind of playing off of that dream match scenario, I do have a little segment that I like to do. It's a little bit of a play off of what they do on the BYW fix, but it's not the exact same thing. Instead of a Money in the Bank ladder match, I do an Elimination Chamber match. I want you to think of 5 guys from Backyard Wrestling
Okay.
that you would face, and then tell me who the last person would be that you would eliminate to win the match. You got a second
So
part.
like I would win.
Yeah, you would win the match. I want to know who the other 5 guys would be in there.
Wow. All right. I'm gonna go Novin. Does Mike count?
Yeah, you can put Mike in there.
Novin, Mike, Yankee, Chris Castle, Johnny Reed, and Sat Daniels.
All right. So who would be the guy that you would eliminate last to win the match?
Flip a coin. Gosh almighty. In that kind of match, I would say Novin.
Okay.
Because I thought that fits down his alley a lot better than everyone else's.
Okay.
Because Mike and Yankee are just so big and powerful. They'll slip up eventually and then probably eliminate themselves.
Right.
Zach and Chris, who knows what would happen with them two. But I feel like it would end up being me and Novin. And by a luck of the chance, I might figure a way to beat him in that type of match. Because that's really like right down his alley.
Gotcha. And if you won that match there for your main eventing, let's say a Best in the Yard, against a champion of your choice, who would that be and for what title?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a current champion either.
For like, and you like
Backyard.
still be okay. So say like if I pick like someone, but they're not the championships. They're not in that company. Does that count?
That's fine.
Okay, I would say Cage for the PTW title.
Nice. I like that pick. I like that very much. Alright. So, I'm going to go into what is the future hold for Dustin Reagan in the year of 2017?
The future holds. It's kind of unclear at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get my title back one way or another. But I feel like there's also, when defeat comes, it's time to reevaluate yourself.
Yeah.
See what you need to do to fix it. And there's a change coming soon. And I feel like it's time for me to go with this change and complete myself as a better performer, as a better wrestler. And at the end of 2017, we all look back and it's all said and done. It's going to be just like the end of last year. It's going to be my year. And there ain't going to be no one that can deny or say that I'm not the best pro wrestler in BYW today.
Nice. Fair point. I like that answer. What do you see in your future beyond this year? Backyard wrestling wise and beyond?
I'm just going to keep on proving myself to be the best until we all have to hang it up the boots. Because we are in the backyard and we are all got lives, and whether we want to go indie and chase the dreams of being the WWE and stuff, because that's what some people want to do, and I support them 100%. But to me, that's not for me. I want to do this, and I want everyone at the end of the day, whether they forget me in 10 years or not, for whatever time they remember me, I want them to be able to watch me and be like, man, that guy puts his heart in this. And you can truly tell he loves what he does. And when it's all said and done, I want to be one of the guys people look at like, if this guy would have kept his focus on and he would have went for the indies, there ain't no doubt in my mind he would be at WrestleMania one day.
All right. I could definitely see that being the case. For me personally, I know when I first started watching you in VTW, that you was something different from everybody else in there. I wasn't a huge fan. I've come around since then. Um, I do have to say I can tell that you do put your heart and soul pretty much into everything that we see on the screen in VTW nowadays. It's,
Thanks.
yeah, no problem. It comes across very well, in my opinion, on the screen. So, look forward to seeing what all happens or what all the next year or so brings for you. And I'm sure it'll be a lot of big things as long as the path that you've been down right now it stays that way. Then I could see even bigger things for you than what we have seen. And this year's been a big year for you, in my opinion, so far. So.
Oh yeah, it's been a really big year, and it's something that really gets me kind of emotional with it because there's some guys that do this and they just do it for fun, but like without this, it's almost kind of like a part of me's missing. It's just something I truly love to do, and like at the end of the match, and I know it's good, and I see like everyone else's faces after the cameras are off, and I see like who's in that match so proud of what we did. It just makes it 10 times better for me.
All right.
And if I can, if after every match I do, if there's one guy at least that has a smile on their face or is happy that match happened, or was like, "Wow, that was great," even if everyone else hates it, I don't care as long as one guy likes it. That that's fine with me.
Good point. All right. Is there anything that you wanted to add before we end this show, H2?
No, I think you guys covered it all, man. It's pretty cool to meet Dustin Reagan. So, well, not meet, but talk to him for the first time.
You trying to make it sound like I'm a big deal, man. Don't even look at that.
So the man of war.
The man of war and the man that can't cut a promo. So we right there in the same book, then, huh?
It's always I have to agree with the sentiment from H2. It was an honor to be able to talk to you, Dustin. I was very proud to say I have you on Tiger Talks Wrestling as the second guest. So.
Well, same for me. It's an honor to be able to talk to you, Tony, and good time if I talk to you, H2. Don't expect to get a phone call down the line, brother.
All right. I'd like to hear that.
All right. Well, thank you guys both for joining us, and this has been Tiger Talks Wrestling. See you guys next time.
Tear it down.